Wow. Okay, so I want to split this one question into two real quick. For the people, let's go first. The people that had never done this before, uh, Anne and David, what did you guys think? Because one of the things that Luke said right before we began was, I could not possibly be more prepared for this. And I think that was a joke of like, there is no way to prepare for this. But I'm curious if you guys, after having done it, do you think that there could have been better preparation or a better introduction to this process? And so that's one question, and also just like, how do you feel after doing this the first time? Any thoughts? Any criticisms?
Yeah, for me, like I don't I feel like this is kind of, yeah, like something you just have to do to kind of really understand it. Because I haven't like participated in like game jams before in any capacity. Um, I feel like this is like, even if I did, I feel like this varies from like a typical like RDC. You have like 24 some hours to complete a game type deal. Um, eh, I was super skeptical. I was like, an hour? What? How are we gonna get anything done? I'm like still setting up a game in an hour, but once I like got in there with everybody and everyone was just like, all right, plop in a script, write some code, let's just get to it. It's like, all right, I'm in. Let's just do it. Let's just make something. Uh, and it's really helpful because I feel like I struggle a lot with like perfectionist tendencies where I want to like spend a lot of time refining a feature and then I kind of like tunnel vision on it, like working over and over on that feature. But this is just like go, go, go. Get one feature done. All right, good enough. Next feature, keep going. Just got to get as much content in the game as possible. And it's a really fun and interesting way of thinking about game development, and I had a blast with it.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for all that, David. Anne, same questions to you. What are your thoughts there?
Um, as for preparation, I felt like because I've already been doing like short burst projects for the past month, I was pretty prepared for it. And it was really
Nice.
great to be able to just like drop things into the game from other things that I've been working on, like
Mm-hmm.
random assets. I like the jumpy bushes. That was cool. Uh, I feel like these things are really beneficial for me personally. So I really enjoyed it and I'm happy to have done it and I'm excited to do it again. And
Oh,
those are my
yes.
thoughts.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for saying all this. Okay, excellent. Okay, so returning members, what are your thoughts? I know we did, this is our second 1 hour, and the last one was um,
Disaster.
disaster, yes. So, how did this compare to disaster, both in process and in product?
One thing that comes to mind immediately is I feel like the building went a lot smoother this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Anne was already on the same wavelength.
Dude, that was
Like
amazing.
I don't remember the exact timeline, but I feel like we had a really good map like 20 minutes in ish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Nice to know that um, that level of efficiency is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how far we can push it and scripting efficiency in general. I ran into a few technical or like with I don't know scripting stuff. Sometimes you think something's going to be easy and can be done in 1 or 2 minutes, and then it's like I have no idea why this is working, and it's going to take some time to debug, and it can take like 10 or 15 minutes to fix even small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really did like the kind of hour format. I would also really like to try out like more long form, like maybe 3 hours tops, I think is good. Because like I know
What
everyone's
a,
got like busy schedules and everything,
what
but
about 10 minutes?
You're crazy. Have you done a 10-minute yet?
I have not, and I really want to, and I need somebody to tell me to do it now.
I mean, look, if you want to just announce it, like that would be a fun experiment to see how this server plays with that, I guess. Like, and everybody can send messages in announcements, and so if you want, you can hop in there
I know
and
I
just.
accidentally sent one.
I saw that. I was like, wait, who just made an announcement? But I mean, like, I think this is a very trusting place. At least while it's so small, this is a great time to field test something like that. If you want to like drop a ping and solicit interest, and then go with it, then go ahead. Is this something that you want to do by yourself, or you want to do it with a group?
I don't know. I don't know how possible it is to communicate with other people in the span of 10 minutes and also produce a game.
Mm-hmm.
and have you thought
So,
about like giving yourself kind of the benefit of you can coordinate a bit before and you can also like set up all the assets you want before?
so the original person who did this definitely did that as well. They had like an entire place of just general assets and scripts that they can pop in and like make adjustments to for whatever game that they're making.
Right.
My main concern is like coming up with a game idea immediately. That's hard for
Yeah.
me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. So one of the things that we had discussed, like we had so many funky ideas for like goofy activity setups, and one of them is like there are a lot of ways that we could roll up this 10-minute thing. It could be very vanilla, where just one person does a 10-minute jam by themselves, or it could be distributed competition, where 9 people at once all say they want to participate, and so they all make their own game in 10 minutes individually, and then we have a show and tell. Or it could be part of like a telephone thing where every person has a place file and they spend 10 minutes in that place file, and then after those 10 minutes you give that place file to like the person to your left, and so then you spend the next 10 minutes working on that person's place file, et cetera, for like 4 or
That
5
would
minutes.
actually be so cool. I want to see that like come back around and see what happened to the game that you started. Like
I
that would be really fun.
And it would be fun to like alternate builder scripter so that.
Yeah.
And that's just one idea, but I think there's so many fun ways that we could roll this up. Right now, our trajectory was like, let's get really good at running 1 hour jams and like learn a lot from that and get some more people in there, and then we can branch out into some other things, and do like these funner, like wacky activities, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you want to do one of those, like this weekend, I was planning on doing another 1 hour jam because there's still only like 11 total people that have participated in one of these 1 hours, but there are 22 people in the server and all of them are interested, especially those European folks that couldn't do it last time. So since it's such a basic format and people can, I feel like, understand it without having done it quite quickly, I think it would be beneficial for us to do a couple more of those at least before we branch out into something super, super interesting. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I think
I think
that's
it
good.
definitely, yeah, I think it makes sense. I really like this kind of as like training, I guess. Like we're getting everybody in this group all trained to the mindset of, all right, get this done in an hour and then ship it. And then we're just kind of like min-maxing the game development workflow. We're like speed running this shit, and that's really funny. And
We
it's
are,
like,
man.
and then like after that, we could like make it 2 hours. Whoa, we got double the time. We can double the content. And it's like, I don't know, maybe some of us would get a little too false sense of security. I got double the time. I'm gonna take it slow, and then it's like, oh fuck, 10 minutes left.
And I think I love
But
what you brought up about like being able to just drop something in. And I think that both times we've run into trouble with that on the code side, and that like we have these things that are like almost drop inable, but there are little things that need to be worked out in order to make them super there. And I think that
Yeah.
for this specific group, like it could be a midweek, if you're looking to blow some time, then like some of us programmers could take some of our things and make them up so that it really is just like a drag and drop package, and it's almost
Yeah.
like this group
System,
evolves its
yeah.
own like base framework for all of our things that we know these little modulos will fit inside and work out of the box, because that would be so helpful. Like if we could just drop in the gun, as one of those things, or something that, like a simple concept, like when you click it places a thing there, like these boulders. It took a good 15 minutes to write it, even though it's so trivial. But maybe there is a solution where you can just like click and place a thing super easily and configure like destroy time. I don't know. This is just something to think about. But Algie Lacey, you were going to say something a little while ago, asking about how did this compare to last week's?
Oh, yeah. So for me, this seemed a lot smoother. It might be because I was kind of working on the admin system the whole time and adding stuff to it, and I just kept adding. But there wasn't ever really a downtime for me where I was like, what should I work on next?
Mm-hmm.
So that was an improvement from last week. Yeah.
Nice.
It's also still great fun anyway. So
Great fun. Defeltio, what did you do exactly? Because I was thinking about it and I realized that I don't even know.
Almost only terrain and map stuff, the marble rails.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, I don't think I wrote any code.
How do you feel about that?
I feel fine about that. I'd probably be happy doing anything, but probably for something fast, I prefer either modeling or building.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Okay, so if you guys were to induct the next group, what would you tell them? Like, picture, yourself, and Jackson rolls up in your DMs and says, "Hey, do you want to do this stupid 1 hour thing?" Like, what what would you tell somebody if you're trying to get them in here? Like, how do you explain it to them in a way that is enticing and also makes enough sense to not like scare them because it sounds confusing?
One thing I think that's important to mention is upfront that you can join the server without any expectation that you need to participate in any way. I think Corey was originally concerned about joining the server when I shared the link with all of them, because it's not clear the culture inside the server until you join it, and then when you join it, it's kind of like there's some uncertainty. So that's one thing good to mention.
Where is the uncertainty?
Well, so if I come to you and tell you, hey, there's this really cool community of people who do game jams, and a lot of people are in this community, I think you might be interested. Here's the link. That's kind of like me saying, hey, do you want to join this community of all these people that know you? And then you join it, but you're not sure if you want to participate in the jam or not. And if you don't know the culture, it might be kind of weird to like join and then everyone's like, hey, Corey, you're gonna jam with us. That's awesome. And then you're like, I gotta go, and then you leave the server because you're not really interested.
Is that what happened to Kevin?
Well, Kevin just like left silently because
Kevin snuck out of there.
But
I see what
do
you're
you
saying.
see?
Yes.
Do you see the? I don't think it's a huge deal, but it's considerate to tell them in advance that the server is very welcoming to people who don't necessarily want to participate. You can just watch.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. I will note this. A follow-up question for anybody, but primarily for you guys, that it was your first time this past weekend. we're recording all this stuff, and so I have this video content. It's obviously like low quality. It's not intended to be a fantastic like game stream like production. But if there was available, I keep saying I'm going to do this, and I haven't done it yet. But if there was available like the whole footage, so I posted the raw uncut footage from last weekend, and it was like 2.5 hours. If I took that and spliced it up and made it basically like a highlight reel, and it was about 15 minutes, and that was available on YouTube, would you have watched that before doing this in order to get a better idea of what happened?
I possibly would have, yeah, but I don't know. It mostly just does come down to just doing it, I think. Like, I don't think you need like any kind of preparation for it.
I don't think most people would watch hours of content.
Totally agree.
It needs to
Yeah.
be distilled.
So what length do you think is good, and what type of footage do you think is good? Like if we took that 2.5 hours and cut it start to finish into about 15 minutes so you could see the evolution of the product, and you would know like at the end of your 15-minute video that it's actually the end of however many hours of game jam, do you think that'd be helpful for people to get an idea of like, oh, this is all that they really made in an hour, which I get it, like I can do that, I'm in. This sounds like it works. It's not just a hoax.
What is the goal, sorry, of making the video? Is it just for us, or is it for like sharing it with others?
It would be both.
Okay.
But a primary consideration is definitely how would other people receive this, specifically people that are interested in joining us, or that we are interested in having them join us. Like, would it have assuaged some confusion or some doubts if you had been presented a video of this? It's like, hey, look, here's a 15-minute time lapse of what we made in an hour or something like that.
I think there's a way to make it feel good. I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind is this YouTuber that I saw that does like game jams, and he does videos on them. Have you heard of Danny?
No.
No. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I thought there was going to be like another specifier, like a last name or something.
No, his name is just Danny.
Yeah,
This
drop the
is
link.
There's his channel.
Haha, yes, games.
They're pretty entertaining, but they're also like they got so much energy in them. I don't know if it's possible. It's like not even
Wow.
just like showing game. Yeah, it's wild.
He's got 2 million subs. This is crazy. All right, he's got a lot of production value to these videos too.
Yeah, so like that's a lot of work,
Oh,
but it's not
yeah,
even.
yeah. Wow, thank you for sharing this. I'm definitely gonna take a look.
Yeah, Jackson, if you just want to like put together 10, 15-minute highlights, I think that would be helpful for like anybody who wants to participate, who's just like a little anxious about it, not really sure what to expect, would like to see kind of what it's about before jumping in. And it would also be like cool to share around, like, hey, this is our funny highlight reel of us all making a game together.
What if you made like an epic trailer?
I know some people. Wow, that's funny. A trailer. Oh, Game Slam trailer. I think
Yeah.
we might need more accumulated footage before something like that can exist at its, prime. But that's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
A hype video. That's what I'm gonna do. So our football team drops these hype videos like the Thursday before every game, and they're mostly for the football players, but the university watches them too. And it's like, cut footage. It's basically like a movie trailer with an epic soundtrack and like super nice cuts and slow-mo shots and stuff. And they do one every single week, and it gets you so hyped. I feel like that would be like, if I had the resources and the talents, maybe someday I will, to make a hype video like and drop it every Friday morning, hyping us up for the weekend. That'd just be so good. Wow.
Jackson, it looks like Danny's videos are more like 7 to 11 minutes in length.
Yeah, it's pretty short form.
We could cut down as well.
Yeah.
It may save you some time.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about what would be included. Like, what are key things or moments to include in in this 7 to 10 minute thing. You know, I've never really done video production before. I don't know what the
I've been
story
like
progression is
practicing making game development videos, just trying to show highlights of the projects that I'm working on. I don't really have very much information yet, but I'll keep you informed if I learn any new info.
Please.
My last video was like 8 minutes, and I think that was a decent length.
Dude, wait. What's the channel? I'm on it.
Oh no.
Put me on that, Ann.
Okay.
Making a Roblox game in 2 weeks. Parentheses.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I tried to make it interesting. Have fun.
These are awesome.
Don't judge me too hard.
I love it. Can I say that? Here it is. Oh, and this is awesome. This is so awesome. All right, I'll watch this after this video call is over. Excellent. This is excellent. Okay, so this has been some nice process talk. Now, I think let's shift the conversation towards the product itself and what are the diamonds that we can mine from having done this game. Like, is there a game design learning that we've got that will help inform us in future projects? For me, I think, like, I said this already to a couple people, but the lesson that just keeps beating me over the head with these is that you can spend so much time and so much energy theorizing how people will play the game or how the game will look when people are in it. But as soon as you get the first playtest, so much of it changes. Not all of it necessarily goes out the window, but like your priorities shift so dramatically. And that happened again with this game. It happened last week with Disasters, and it happened with Peanut Palace too. Like every single time, it's just like bang, bang, bang. You know, that we took about 40 minutes maybe to get to playtest this time. And immediately, like, we had so many actionable takeaways. Like, we need to put the railings up to get the boulders around. We need to move the bushes so that they can chain a little bit better. We need to make the climb faster. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to add a bomb. Like, it just, so much direction took place after that first playtest. And so that's the lesson that keeps beating me over the head of yours. Like, give it to the people as quickly as possible and let them inform the future of design.
Maybe that can just be like a thing that you include in it too, is just like you have an hour to make the game. Or an hour to make and playtest the game, and then you have an hour to like make the adjustments that you learn. Yes.
Yeah, so that is what we have been doing, I guess, is last week too. You know, we at 1 hour we're all kind of like, all right, it's been an hour. We like quickly shut down the servers and play the game, and then we continue to add features for another hour or hour and a half, just because it's fun, you know. And so I think that's fun and flexible. But that's an interesting idea. What do you think about like establishing a? We talked about this last week and we decided not to do it, but establishing a minute marker at which you have to have your first playtest. Like, let's say 30 minutes.
What would the benefit of that have been this most recent jam? We get a playtest sooner? You think we benefited from that?
I guess it depends what everyone is doing, because let's say like what was something that was added this week that was not contributing heavily to gameplay, and if we had done a playtest soon, would we have realized that and stopped working on that thing?
Maybe the admin.
I would say
the tools instead.
I would say the things that you walked on, I forgot what they're called, the pads, it would like generate stuff under you. I couldn't get that to work properly, so maybe that's why I didn't use it very much, but I felt like I had a hard time messing with that. I mostly was only using the admin and the bombs.
Yeah, didn't see a ton of people using the paths. Because I think the hill itself it was already so exciting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is it normally in these games you're climbing stairs that are really boring, and in our case the hill climb itself was so exciting that when you get to the admin, something like a path doesn't necessarily increase your excitement because the action is still on the hill anyway.
I like the idea of when you get to the top of the hill, you're starting to fight the other players so that you can be on the top of the hill, like climb the hill to be the king of the hill, and then that's it.
It did become King of the Hill.
I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I think I think Chris mentioned this at the end. The map was laid out in such a way that I think it wasn't exactly appealing, or as appealing as it could be to get to the top. Two things that contributed to this. One is the top didn't look very distinct when you're standing at the spawn. It looked kind of just like the rest of the hill, just the highest point. And also, you spawn so close to the base of the hill, and the structure is so complicated that you may not even pan your camera up to actually look at it. Like, you kind of just see, you spawn and you see a pathway forward.
How could you like do that without making it annoying to climb up the hill though? Because you're like walking up to the hill from far away to see the top of the hill, but at the same time you're like not able to start running super easily.
It could be like a cutscene that like we could have a play button, you know, and an intro screen that sort of zooms around. That's an interesting idea, because I think we missed that with. There was the same gripe with Peanut Palace, is that we have this destination, but we haven't created the deep desire for people to actually get there.
I'm in the game right now, and I definitely see how like the top doesn't look appealing.
Oh, that's a good idea.
From this angle.
Let me get in there.
It literally
good
just
point,
looks
Joe.
like a tree. Like there's a tree up there. There's a tree everywhere. Like why do I want to go up there into that tree?
Why do we have 36% thumbs up? Oh my gosh.
I think that the volume of players is so thin at any given time that if you join the game, there's not really anything going on, even when I was advertising it. And also when we played, like, I feel like a lot of people were just hanging out at the base.
I think we do have a problem with that.
The problem there is that these people are joining the game because they want to talk to you,
Yes.
and they're not actually enjoying the experience.
Exactly.
But so I think one important... Okay, maybe this isn't... The point about the top of the hill, I think it would... One of the things I think that's attractive about doing 10-minute jams is if you make props in advance and you kind of have an idea of the kind of game that you want to make, then you can kind of spend 10 minutes making a level, and if the level is not compelling when you play test it after 10 minutes, you can completely throw it away and make a completely new level with what you've learned. And I think in the projects that we've done so far, the Peanut Palace, this one, the Disaster, maybe less so the Disaster, because that map was just a bunch of free models, but it seems like we build a map and it's kind of difficult to change and iterate on and like completely throw it away mid-jam the way we've been doing it, which is maybe fine, but maybe there is room for more map iteration that we're not capitalizing on.
I do just want to say real quick that I should get going. I have schoolwork to do, but I'll catch y'all later.
Thank you for everything, David.
Yeah, I hope to see you on
David.
Saturday for more jamming.
Definitely, dog. I'll send the calendar invite.
Okay, cool. See yous.
See ya.
Bye, David.
I like this point, Joe. And I think that this may be the answer to the earlier question of what do we gain with the first playtest. And it's maybe not always such a definite answer of like map yes or no, like map keep or cut. Maybe it just offers smaller insights about what direction to nudge the map in. But I think that is the question that can only be answered when people are in there. And so it could be incented to get a playtest quicker. And maybe this moves us into an interesting line of discussion, which is like we had that Project Atlas, which was it was useful, I would say, strangely, just to get that, like, the fact that there is no predetermined unified aesthetic, and then to answer the question of free models, yes or no. And even though we said yes, we didn't end up using a lot of free models, but like regardless, I feel like that concept, what do you guys think about that? Should that be there to stay?
I think it was very helpful to get everyone on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
It was so lightning fast, but I do think that it was helpful, yeah. So are there more questions that we could add to this, or should we do, or maybe not or, but like another question is there a place for a second check-in? Is there like a 30-minute like first playtest form that we should do to make sure that we're focusing on answering specific questions with a playtest? Like, should it be map, keep or cut, mechanic, keep or cut? I'm not really sure, but what do we think about this? If there was a predetermined playtest point, and maybe actually that's a separate idea. So I guess the current question is there another questionnaire that would be useful to look at for our first playtest with specific things, points of focus?
It might be helpful because I found for the last two we've kind of play tested, and then some of the people go back and change stuff, and some of them just kind of keep playing. But I feel like if we had even just like another 15-minute period after the first play test to be like, okay, let's quickly make adjustments, that might help.
Mm-hmm. Alex, what's his last name? Hicks is in the game right now, and he joined and said, I can do this, and then climbed to the top, and it says, Abstract Alex is now an admin, and he said, okay, that was slightly underwhelming. I think that's actually a good point of feedback, though, that like something that we did in Blast Hook was we used Alex Balfan's jailbreak fireworks particles on the screen.
I have particles. I have
Okay.
confetti particles.
Perfect. Yes. So like weird flavor that we haven't really been adding to either of these games, but I think especially if there's supposed to be an apex moment, we gotta dump it in there. And so Alex's chief complaint here of getting to the top and being underwhelmed, I think if we have a bunch of fireworks and fanfare, like there's not even a sound right now for when you get admin. There are no horns or no trumpets.
I also felt like as a solo player, it is incredibly easy to get to the top when there's like nobody else in the game. And so that experience in itself is just like, I just walked up here and now I have admin, and there wasn't like any challenge.
True. Wow, this is excellent dialogue.
Having a questionnaire seems potentially useful, but I don't know what questions there should be.
Right.
And also, should it be action-oriented or understanding-oriented? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it might be useful to ask the question, okay, based on what we have so far, is this fun? And what is the most fun thing that everyone seems to be doing?
Yes.
For
Oh,
example.
okay. That's excellent. That is super, super excellent. Yes. I think that, ooh. Ideas rolling boulder at me. That is a question that I think we always end up answering, but not in such a direct way. Yes, what is the most fun thing that everyone seems to be doing? And because I think that, like, in this case, the paths and the admin box with the chat commands, like, I think this is partially just a UX issue with chat commands. If there's no, like, hey, here are all the chat commands that you can use, sort of thing. People generally don't seem to understand what they're capable of, or that they have received chat commands. But either way, like if we had answered that question at 30 minutes, like if we do have a secondary Google form that's like the playtest reflection, and we jump in there at 30 minutes and we see all people want to do is just roll boulders at each other, what would we do? What's the action from that conclusion? Cut everything else? I could just remove the other things and lean into bouldering people?
I think having a focus on like player engaging with other player when you reach that level is really good because it allows you to like kind of feel like you're flexing on them in a way, and I feel like that always makes people feel good about the end reward.
Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, and that's more of the like, you know, fireworks and sauce as well. As like what we could have done is just when you get up to the top of the hill, automatically make your head super big and set it on fire.
I'm mostly just saying like the things at the top of the hill that were really fun were bouldering people, throwing bombs, and the guns because you were engaging with others and it became kind of like a fun kind of social experience at the top.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, that's very good insight. I like that. So if we had made that observation at 30 minutes, what would we do next? Knowing that, what would be our next 30 minutes of work?
Maybe having a way to, I guess, get closer to other players right after you obtain all of these cool things that you can use to mess with other players instead of just like you're at the top and that's it. Like a teleport back down to the bottom so you can just start throwing boulders and bombs and I don't know.
That's a good idea. A teleport pad to the bottom.
Like not drawing players away from other players, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out how to do that. For this specific game, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's not obvious, and maybe we would need to take a second to brainstorm new ideas.
Yeah.
One idea might be make it easier for players at the top to interact with players all over the hill by giving them tools to like throw launch boulders from the top to farther away locations and try to hit people as they're coming up the base.
Mm-hmm.
What if you got double the size and you could stomp on people?
That sounds cool.
That's a must-have. Must-have, yeah. Wow, okay. So it sounds like we would have cut pads and the admin box, or the chat commands at least, added much more sauce and flavor at the moment of coronation, and given you more ways to mess with other people.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like maybe the map would be more engaging if it were just a straight path up. Like,
that is very true.
Have you seen the MXC, like Most Extreme Elimination, whatever, that Japanese show, where they have people who it's like some game show where people do crazy obstacles, and there's one where people are like running up a fake mountain, and the people who are working for the game show, they like push these boulders down the mountain and try to smash the person running up.
I think it's like Takeshi's Game Show or something.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That would have been super fun because then the goal at the top is kind of obvious. it's like I think
Mhm.
that's a recurring game design thing where like kind of it's nice to spawn the player someone the entire path to the goal, and there's only one path right in front of them that they can take.
Mhm.
And then the people at the top can kind of see everyone coming up along the entire path, and they can kind of aim boulders uh, at people all the way down at the base.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I used to love in Mike D's Ultimate Paintball sniping people. I feel like it's the same reward system almost. Like when you get to the top and you're watching these people climb up the thing, if there's an item that doesn't bounce and doesn't roll and it just sticks to what you hit, and you can snipe people, like that's so rewarding because it's difficult. There's like a skill challenge involved too. Like even in this map, trying to roll a boulder on someone, it feels good, not just because of the interpersonal interaction, but also because of the skill component, because it's hard. It's not easy to squash somebody when they're moving that fast.
Mm-hmm.
I like this idea, Joe, of just like the very obvious start and destination. That's nice. So if we had gone into this and said, at 30 minutes, we do a play test, and we answer these 2 questions, or these 3 questions, whatever they are, would that have changed much?
I think we could have designed what we did to be more rewarding for the user. I mean, even these things are things I'll think about just as I'm working the next time we do it. Just to make things like our end goal should be rewarding. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely something to keep in mind.
That is true. Hmm.
There is another approach that we have not really discussed or attempted, and maybe it just doesn't flow well with a 1-hour format, but we could establish a checklist. And so there, like, what would this look like, I guess, is as part of our initializing Atlas exercise, we say, what's the playtest checklist? And instead of just diving into the team create and starting to build and yes-anding, we explicitly lay out the checklist. And that way we avoid the problem of like, okay, I think I'm ready to play test, and someone else is in the middle of a feature, and then you start something until they finish, and then you start to realize that it's super important for the play test, but when they finish, you're not finished yet, and so you kind of continue to kick the can a little bit. Maybe we try the checklist thing and see if it works. Maybe it's not fun at that point. I don't know. What do you guys think?
The
Seems
checklist
worth a
is
try.
like what?
I don't know. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna ask a question to see like checklist meaning like at 30 minutes we like stop and we say these are the things we're going to make sure that this game has, or checklist meaning like we have checkpoints and
Oh, my bad. Yeah. I mean, like, in the first 5 minutes of the hour, we say, all right, we want to put in these 6 things, and then we'll do a play test as soon as these 6 are over.
oh, okay.
Or like
I
by
mean,
30 minutes, we need to have these 6 things, and then we'll do a play test.
it's worth trying.
I agree.
Okay, is that our experiment for this weekend? Checklist and 30-minute play test?
Yes. I think it would also be cool to have a checklist of like making sure that we're doing things that make a game good. Like when somebody had mentioned, is this rewarding? I feel like that's something that we should ask ourselves at the 30-minute mark. Like, does this feel rewarding? What can
Mhm.
we do to improve?
Yeah. Hmm. So there's something when we perform a script analysis in theater, they push you to search for a unifying principle in order to facilitate your analysis. And it's a nice way of taking a very long and complex series of symbols and storytelling and weighing every single thing that you look at against one specific principle, which is usually like something, dynamic and action related, like to flip the tables. And so you're looking at like, how is this character created in the play just to flip the tables or whatever. And so maybe some unifying principle for the game would be helpful, and then we can weigh our feature ideas and our decisions against such a principle. And in this case, I don't know what it would be. Maybe it would be to climb the hill, like maybe climbing the hill is the thing, or maybe it is not climbing the hill that's actually fun, but it is exercising authority or like dominating other people, and that's what's fun.
Kind of like having core pillars to
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for next weekend, I will, what we'll do is we'll do this checklist business. And so part of our initial atlas will be what's the checklist for first playtest, which will happen at 30 minutes. And then when we complete that playtest, there will be some more questions, or I guess the one question of what is the most fun thing that is happening? What are players doing and enjoying the most? This will be interesting because, maybe I should go back and watch the footage again, but I think like for the first playtest, usually it's a lot of tuning and bug fixes. And so for things like the boulders need to only despawn when they stop moving, and there needs to be a spawn radius constraint, and the music needs to be quieter. And it's like these are a lot of little things. The programming ones do tend to add up, and so if that's our 30-minute next steps, then like those questions have nothing to do with, well, maybe that's not true. I was going to say those questions have nothing to do with what's the most fun thing in the game, but I guess if you see something like that and you're like, oh, the paths are broken, then the question is, okay, well, wait, what's the most fun thing in the game? It's the boulders, so don't fix the paths. Like, let's lean into the boulders. So maybe that is helpful. Okay, so that's what we'll do then. We'll have a little checklist, and then at 30 minutes we'll do our first playtest, considering that checklist is done. If the checklist is done before the 30 minutes, that's when we'll do the first playtest. And we will ask ourselves, what's the most fun thing in the game, and how do we over-accept it? We like that? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Cool. Okay. If there's no closing thoughts, that is all. Thank you guys so much for coming. I love each and every one of you. This is a super fun, best part of my week, and I look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
See you later.
See you guys on Saturday. Bye. Adios.
Mwah.